My beloved child, something was taken from you before you understood what was happening. Not your intelligence, not your faith, not your purpose. What was taken was the quiet place inside you where truth once felt simple. There was a time when your heart could recognize what mattered without arguing with itself for hours. You could feel joy without immediately expecting loss. You could rest without guilt. You could hear a gentle warning and trust it. You could notice beauty without needing to capture it, explain it, or turn it into proof. Then life became louder. Responsibilities increased. Expectations followed you. Other people's voices entered your mind and remained there. You learned to hurry before anyone accused you of being slow. You learned to doubt yourself before anyone else had the chance. You learned to stay available, stay productive, stay careful, and stay ready for the next demand. My beloved child, none of this happened in one dramatic moment. It happened through many ordinary days. A little more noise, a little less rest. One disappointment you never fully grieved. One season when you had to be strong for everyone. One relationship where your needs were always pushed aside. One habit of checking, comparing, worrying, and preparing for problems that had not happened. Slowly, the quiet place within you became difficult to reach. You began waking with thoughts already moving. Before your feet touched the floor, your mind was reviewing responsibilities, conversations, bills, fears, and unfinished decisions. Even when the room was silent, there was no silence inside you. You called it maturity. You called it responsibility. You called it being realistic. But much of it was exhaustion wearing a serious face. My beloved child, I'm not saying that your responsibilities are imaginary. I know the pressure is real. I know some decisions cannot be postponed. I know people depend on you. But responsibility was never meant to erase your inner life. The world taught you to respond quickly but not always wisely. It taught you to consume information but not always understand it. It taught you to remain connected to everyone while becoming disconnected from your own heart. It taught you that stillness was wasted time, that rest had to be earned, and that silence meant you were falling behind. Something precious became buried beneath all that noise. Your ability to notice my gentle direction. Your ability to recognize when peace was present. Your ability to sense when something looked right but did not feel honest. Your ability to remain with one thought long enough for wisdom to rise. My beloved child, you did not lose these things because you failed me. They were covered, they were crowded, they were pushed beneath survival. Think of a well that has not gone dry but has been filled with stones. The water is still there. The source has not disappeared. But the opening is blocked, and each new stone makes the water harder to reach. Fear added stones, comparison added stones, unspoken grief added stones, constant information added stones, the need to please everyone added stones, the habit of ignoring your own limits added stones. You kept drawing from a shallow place and wondering why you felt thirsty, but the water remained beneath it all. My beloved child, I have not brought you here to shame you for becoming tired. I have brought you here to help you remove what does not belong. Remember Mary sitting near me while Martha became distracted by many tasks. Martha's service was not evil, her work mattered, but anxiety had entered the work and taken her attention captive. She was doing something useful while losing the peace that should have remained within her. You have lived that way too, doing what needed to be done, helping, preparing, serving, solving. Yet beneath the movement, your heart was asking one quiet question: when will I feel like myself again? My beloved child, the answer begins here. Not with another task, not with another promise that you will become more disciplined tomorrow, not with blaming yourself for every day you felt unfocused. It begins by recognizing what happened. Your peace was not destroyed. Your clarity was not erased. Your ability to hear me did not disappear. It became covered by a life that demanded too much attention in too many directions. This is why some days you feel a strange ache when everything becomes quiet. Part of you remembers that quiet used to feel like home. Now it feels unfamiliar because you have spent so long living in noise. Do not be afraid of that discomfort. The first moments of stillness may bring thoughts you avoided. They may bring sadness, anger, or tiredness to the surface. This does not mean silence is harming you. It means silence is revealing what noise helped you postpone. My beloved child, let truth come slowly. You do not have to repair your whole life today. Begin with one honest breath. Put down the phone for a moment. Let your shoulders fall. Notice what your body has been trying to tell you. Ask yourself, what has been draining you, what has been distracting you, and what you continue carrying only because you are afraid to disappoint someone. Then bring those answers to me, without performance. Say, Father, I have been living too loudly. Say, I am tired of reacting to everything. Say, I want to hear what is true again. That prayer is enough to begin. My beloved child, I am not returning you to childhood. I am restoring something deeper. I am teaching you how to carry adult wisdom without losing wonder, how to hold responsibility without worshiping pressure, and how to remain present without needing to control every outcome. What was taken was not your calling. It was the space where your calling could be heard clearly. And that space can be opened again. The noise can become quieter. The stones can be removed. The water can rise. You may not notice restoration in one dramatic moment. It may begin when you finish a conversation without replaying it, when you choose rest without defending it, or when one thought remains after the noise fades. Small changes matter. They show that your heart is learning to recognize peace again, not as weakness, but as guidance. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will show you why this moment is not random, why certain days can become invitations to deeper attention, and why no fear, distraction, or human opposition can stop what begins when you finally become willing to listen. My beloved child, I told you that this moment is not random. Certain days become invitations to deeper attention, not because the calendar itself carries power, but because I know when your heart is ready to notice what has been forming beneath the surface. The next 3 days are such an invitation. Do not hear this as pressure. Do not turn it into fear. Do not believe that one mistake will make you lose everything. I am not standing over you with a clock waiting for you to fail. I am drawing you away from the noise long enough for you to recognize what has begun. My beloved child, there are seasons when I work quietly for months, even years, and then there are moments when several hidden movements begin to meet. A conversation reaches the right time. A truth you resisted becomes clear. A door you kept pushing finally closes, while another path appears where you were not looking. 3 days can become a doorway when you enter them awake. The first day is for noticing. The second is for releasing. The third is for responding. This is not a formula that controls me. It is a rhythm that helps your heart stop scattering itself. On the first day, notice what has been competing for your attention. Notice which thoughts arrive before peace has a chance to speak. Notice the conversation you keep replaying, the fear you keep feeding, and the responsibility you have carried without asking whether it still belongs to you. My beloved child, noticing is not judging. You do not need to condemn yourself for being distracted. You only need to become honest about where your energy has been going. Perhaps you have been trying to solve a future that has not arrived. On the first day, bring these things into the light. Name what is draining you. Name what is no longer true. Name what you are afraid will happen if you become still. Truth loses some of its power to frighten you when you stop leaving it unnamed. On the second day, release what the first day revealed. Release does not mean pretending something never mattered. It does not mean ignoring responsibility, abandoning people, or refusing to face consequences. Release means loosening your grip on what you cannot control. My beloved child, some of your deepest exhaustion came from trying to manage other people's reactions. You prepared explanations before anyone asked. You rehearsed defenses before any accusation came. You carried possible conflicts in your body as though they were happening. Let the second day become a day of open hands. Release the need to be understood by everyone. Release the expectation that every person must agree with your decision. Release the belief that peace can only come after every problem is solved. There are burdens that become lighter only when you stop calling them yours. Remember how the Israelites stood at the edge of the sea with danger behind them and no visible path ahead. They could not create the road through the water. They could only listen, move, when instructed, and trust that the next step would be revealed at the right moment. My beloved child, this does not mean you should wait passively while life collapses around you. It means you must learn the difference between faithful action and fearful control. Faithful action handles what is present. Fearful control tries to dominate what has not happened. On the third day, respond. By then, one truth may have become clearer. One conversation may need to happen. One boundary may need to be spoken. One small beginning may be ready. Do not demand a complete map. The next honest step is enough. My beloved child, many people miss important moments because they expect guidance to arrive as something dramatic. They wait for thunder, but wisdom comes as a quiet conviction that remains after emotion settles. They wait for a perfect sign while the same responsible step has been appearing before them for weeks. Pay attention to what repeats without forcing itself. Pay attention to what brings greater honesty, not merely immediate relief. Pay attention to what agrees with wisdom, responsibility, compassion, and peace. The next 3 days are not a promise that every problem will disappear. They are not proof that money, relationships, or opportunities will arrive on command. I will not teach you to treat me like a machine that produces outcomes when the correct words are spoken. This window is about readiness. It is about removing noise so you can recognize direction. It is about letting your mind and body slow down enough to hear what panic has been interrupting. It is about choosing participation over prediction. My beloved child, no person can stop the inner work that begins when you become honest before me. Someone may disagree with you. A plan may be delayed. A door may remain closed. Circumstances may require patience. But no human opposition can prevent you from becoming clearer, wiser, grounded, and truthful. That is what no one can stop. They cannot stop you from releasing resentment. They cannot stop you from setting a healthy boundary. They cannot stop you from asking for wise support. They cannot stop you from returning to prayer without performance. They cannot stop you from choosing the next faithful step. The power of this window is not that the calendar forces life to obey you. The power is that attention changes what you are able to recognize. When your attention is divided, you can stand beside an open door and never see it. When your heart becomes present, even a small opening becomes visible. My beloved child, protect these 3 days gently. You do not need to disappear from your responsibilities. Simply create small spaces where noise is not allowed to lead. Begin the morning without reaching for every message. Sit quietly before filling your mind with other people's opinions. Ask me one honest question, then stop demanding an immediate answer. At night, review the day without attacking yourself. Ask what brought peace, what created confusion, what required courage, and what may need to change tomorrow. Do not turn this into another performance. Missing one quiet moment does not destroy the invitation. Becoming distracted does not cancel my patience. Return when you notice you have wandered. Returning is part of listening. My beloved child, I have used 3 days before as a space between what appeared finished and what was about to rise. The silence between loss and new life was not empty. It held preparation that human eyes could not see. In the same way, these 3 days may look ordinary from the outside. Work will continue. Messages will arrive. People may not recognize what is changing within you. Yet beneath the ordinary, your attention can begin returning to its rightful place. Something is becoming quieter, something is becoming clearer. Something you thought was gone is beginning to stir. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will show you that your receiver was never destroyed. It went quiet beneath pressure, distraction, and fear, but the ability to recognize truth is still within you, waiting to come back online. My beloved child, the ability to recognize truth clearly is still within you, waiting to come back online. It did not disappear. It did not leave because you made mistakes. It became quiet beneath pressure, distraction, fear, and the constant demand to react before you had time to listen. Your receiver went offline, but it was never destroyed. Think about an old radio during a storm. The signal is still moving, but static fills the space between the message and the listener. The problem is not that the station stopped broadcasting. The problem is that too much interference entered the channel. My beloved child, this is what happened inside you. I kept speaking through truth, wisdom, conviction, scripture, safe counsel, and the quiet awareness that something needed to change. You sometimes felt the message, but you could not hold it long enough to understand it. A clear thought appeared, then anxiety interrupted. Peace came near then. Another notification, responsibility, or memory pulled your attention away. You received fragments, a feeling that you needed to slow down, a sense that one relationship was draining you, a quiet knowing that a door was no longer healthy, a desire to begin something meaningful, but the details felt blurred, so you questioned the message itself. My beloved child, you blamed your faith, when the real problem was your exhaustion. You believed you were spiritually cold when your mind had been flooded with more demands than it could process. You thought I had become distant when you had lost the space required to notice my nearness. I was not offended by your difficulty. I did not withdraw because you were distracted. I did not stop guiding you because fear became loud. I remained near, repeating what mattered in different ways. Sometimes I used a sentence from Scripture that stayed with you after the page was closed. Sometimes I used a trusted person's words. Sometimes I allowed discomfort to remain because comfort would have kept you in a place that was harming you. Sometimes I used a closed door to protect you from rushing into what looked attractive but lacked peace. My beloved child, guidance does not always feel pleasant. A receiver coming back online may first reveal the noise you tolerated. It may show you how often guilt made your decisions. It may expose a habit that has been numbing you or a relationship that survives only because you are afraid to disappoint someone. Do not confuse discomfort with punishment. When light enters a dark room, it reveals what was already there. The light did not create the dust. It simply made the dust visible. That is what truth is beginning to do within you. You may notice old emotions rising as your inner life becomes quieter. Sadness may appear, anger may surface. Grief may return from a season you never had time to process. My beloved child, this does not mean your receiver is failing. It means you are finally hearing messages from your own heart that were buried beneath survival. Bring them to me. Do not analyze every feeling as though it were a command. Feelings are messengers, not masters. Let them speak, then examine what they are saying. Some will reveal a real need. Some will expose fear. Some will point toward a boundary. Some will simply need to be felt and released. My beloved child, your receiver becomes clearer when you stop treating every thought as truth. Fear may say, act now or everything will collapse. Shame may say, stay silent because your needs are a burden. Pride may say, do not ask for help. Wisdom speaks differently. Wisdom can wait long enough to see clearly. Wisdom tells the truth without cruelty. Wisdom accepts support without surrendering responsibility. Wisdom does not require panic to produce movement. Remember the young Samuel resting in the house of God. He heard his name but did not recognize the voice at first. He assumed Eli was calling him. The message was real, but recognition had to be learned. Eli helped him understand how to respond. My beloved child, even Samuel, needed guidance while learning to listen. You are not failing because you need help identifying what is true. A wise counselor, mature believer, doctor, trusted friend, or responsible mentor may help you separate spiritual conviction from fear, stress, or wishful thinking. Safe guidance does not replace your judgment. It strengthens your ability to use it. Your receiver is not a magical device that turns every impression into divine instruction. I do not want you chasing signs in numbers, random sentences, or every sudden emotion. I want you grounded in truth, character, responsibility, and love. What comes from me will not require dishonesty. It will not demand that you harm yourself or another person. It will not flatter your pride while removing your accountability. It will not pressure you to ignore wise medical, financial, or relational counsel. My beloved child, my guidance can withstand examination. You may test it, you may wait, you may ask questions. Truth does not become false because you looked at it carefully. The receiver becomes stronger through practice. Create small spaces without noise. Read slowly instead of consuming endlessly. Pray honestly instead of performing. Write down what seems important, then revisit it after emotion settles. Notice patterns over time rather than building a decision on one intense moment. Ask whether the direction produces honesty, courage, patience, compassion, and responsible action. You will begin to recognize the difference between urgency and clarity. Urgency pushes from behind. Clarity leads from ahead. Urgency says you must understand everything immediately. Clarity gives enough light for one faithful step. My beloved child, you may still experience days when the signal feels weak. Stress will return. Responsibilities will increase. You may become tired and distracted again. Do not declare the receiver destroyed every time static appears. Return to what restores attention. Sleep. Breathe. Reduce unnecessary noise. Speak with someone trustworthy. Bring your fear to me before it becomes a plan. Your ability to hear truth is more resilient than you know. It survived disappointment. It survived seasons of overwork. It survived relationships that taught you to doubt yourself. It survived the years when you confused constant thinking with wisdom. Beneath all that static, something pure remained. A part of you still recognizes kindness. A part of you still longs for integrity. A part of you still responds when peace enters the room. A part of you still remembers what it felt like to live with wonder instead of suspicion. My beloved child, that memory matters. It is not merely nostalgia. It is evidence that before the world trained you to hurry, compare, perform, and protect yourself, you knew how to be present. The receiver was once naturally open. You did not force clarity. You lived inside it. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will take you back to that earlier season and show you that you once operated with the full clarity of a child. What you remember as imagination, wonder, and simple trust was not weakness. It was a form of wholeness that can teach your adult heart how to listen again. My beloved child, I told you that before the world trained you to hurry, compare, perform, and protect yourself, you knew how to be present. You once operated with the full clarity of a child, not because you understood everything, but because you had not yet learned to divide your attention from your heart. There was a time when one small thing could hold your whole awareness. A puddle after rain, a line of ants crossing the ground, a story told before sleep. You did not need 10 screens, 5 opinions, and constant stimulation to feel alive. Wonder came easily because your mind was not trying to stand in several places at once. My beloved child, you trusted what was simple. When you were hungry, you knew it. When you were tired, you rested. When something felt unsafe, your body noticed before your words could explain it. When joy arrived, you did not interrupt it by asking how long it would last. You were present before you learned to monitor yourself. That kind of clarity was not ignorance. It was wholeness. Children do not separate imagination from attention as quickly as adults do. They can turn a cardboard box into a ship, a blanket into a shelter, and an ordinary room into a world full of possibility. They do not first ask whether creativity is useful. They enter it. My beloved child, part of you still remembers that freedom. You remember creating without judging the result. You remember asking questions without feeling foolish. You remember speaking honestly before you learned which answers pleased the adults around you. You remember believing that life could contain more than what was visible. Then correction entered. Some correction was necessary. You needed to learn patience, responsibility, kindness, and self-control, but not every correction protected you. Some people corrected the very parts of you that were alive because your imagination made them uncomfortable. You were told to stop dreaming, to stop asking so many questions, to be realistic, to sit still even when something inside you needed expression, to accept the answer instead of exploring why it was true. My beloved child, you learned that approval often followed obedience while curiosity created tension. So you adapted. You became quieter in places where your mind once moved freely. You began checking the room before revealing what you thought. You watched faces, measured reactions, and edited yourself. That adaptation helped you belong, but it also created distance from your own inner voice. Remember how young David stood before Goliath. The adults saw armor size, reputation, and danger. David saw a problem through the memory of what he had already survived with me. His mind was not empty of reality. It was free enough to see a possibility that fear had hidden from everyone else. My beloved child, childlike clarity does not mean ignoring danger. It means seeing danger without allowing danger to become the only thing you can see. You once had that ability. A challenge could exist beside possibility. A mistake could exist beside another attempt. An ending could exist beside a new beginning. You had not yet learned to make one painful moment into a permanent definition of your future. As you grew older, your mind became skilled at prediction. You remembered what hurt and tried to prevent it from happening again. This was understandable, but eventually prediction began speaking louder than curiosity. You stopped asking what might be possible. You started asking what could go wrong. You stopped entering moments. You evaluated them. You stopped listening for truth. You searched for danger. My beloved child, vigilance can protect you during a crisis, but it was never meant to become your permanent home. A child looks at the road ahead and sees discovery. A wounded adult may look at the same road and see every place they could fall. I am not asking you to become naive. I am teaching you how to recover openness without surrendering wisdom. You can ask questions and still use discernment. You can imagine a better future and still make a practical plan. You can trust slowly without becoming suspicious of everyone. You can receive joy without demanding a guarantee that pain will never return. This is mature, childlike clarity. It does not erase experience. It cleans the lens through which experience is understood. My beloved child, notice how children return to the present. They may cry deeply, then become absorbed in something new. They feel what is real without always building an identity around it. Adults often carry yesterday into every room, then call the weight wisdom. You have done this without realizing it. One betrayal made you question every promise. One failure followed you into each new opportunity. One season of financial pressure taught your body to fear every unexpected expense. One unanswered message became evidence that you were unwanted. The event ended, but your attention remained there. Childlike clarity does not deny the lesson. It refuses to let the lesson become a prison. My beloved child, you can begin practicing this again. Look at one thing without reaching for another. Listen to one person without preparing your reply. Finish one task before opening the next. Walk outside without filling the silence. Pray without forcing an answer. Let one verse remain with you long enough to move from your mind into your life. When Jesus welcomed children, he did not praise immaturity, carelessness, or dependence without wisdom. He pointed toward a kind of trust that receives before it performs. A child reaches for love without first presenting achievements. A child accepts belonging before proving usefulness. My beloved child, this is where many adults become tired. You learned to approach me as though you were entering an interview. You brought evidence of effort, regret, promises, and plans. You tried to become worthy enough to be heard. But relationship with me did not begin with your performance. It began with my love. The child within you once understood receiving better than the adult you became. That child could accept comfort without asking how to repay it, could believe presence mattered, could rest in another person's care. I want to restore that simplicity without removing your strength. You will not return to being unaware. You will become undivided. Your thoughts, values, emotions, and actions can begin moving in the same direction again. You will notice what matters. You will hear when fear is exaggerating. You will recognize when peace is guiding you toward one responsible step. My beloved child, the clarity you once carried was not destroyed by growing older. It was covered by habits the world rewarded: hurry, comparison, multitasking, constant evaluation, endless information. The goal is not to become less intelligent or less responsible. It is to let knowledge serve wisdom again. It is to remember that a clear heart can notice what an overloaded mind repeatedly overlooks in life. Stay close. In the next part, I will show you how modern life trained you to live with only half the signal, and how the systems that promised to make you more capable slowly taught you to distrust imagination, silence, intuition, and the wisdom that cannot be rushed. My beloved child, I told you that knowledge was meant to serve wisdom, not replace it. Yet modern life slowly taught you to trust what could be measured, scheduled, compared, and displayed, while doubting what required silence, patience, imagination, and inner attention. You were trained to live with only half the signal, the loud half, the visible half, the part that could be explained quickly. From an early age, you learned to follow instructions, complete tasks, meet deadlines, and produce answers that fit inside narrow spaces. Some of that training helped you. It taught discipline, responsibility, and cooperation. But it also taught you to ignore what did not fit the system. My beloved child, you learned that the correct answer mattered more than the honest question. You learned that speed looked like intelligence. You learned that sitting quietly could be mistaken for laziness. You learned that imagination was acceptable only when it produced something useful. Slowly, your outer performance became stronger, while your inner listening became weaker. Then adulthood added another layer. Messages arrived before breakfast. News entered your mind before prayer. Work followed you into the evening. Even rest became something you planned, tracked, and judged. Your attention was divided into smaller and smaller pieces, until being fully present began to feel unfamiliar. My beloved child, the world rewarded your availability. It praised you for answering quickly. It called you dependable when you never stopped. It admired your ability to handle many things at once. but it rarely asked what constant access was doing to your soul. A person can become efficient while becoming disconnected. A person can know many facts while losing the ability to recognize what matters. A person can respond to every notification and still miss the quiet warning rising inside. This is what I mean when I say you began living with only half the signal. You heard information but not always meaning. You saw activity but not always direction. You noticed words but not always the pain beneath them. You completed the day but did not always inhabit it. My beloved child, modern life trained your mind to scan instead of stay. You moved from headline to headline, message to message, task to task. Your eyes kept moving, but understanding did not always deepen. The habit of constant switching followed you into prayer, relationships, and decision-making. You tried to listen while preparing your answer. You tried to rest while checking what you had missed. You tried to pray while carrying 10 unfinished conversations in your mind. You tried to discern the next step while consuming the opinions of people who did not know your life. No wonder the signal became difficult to hear. Elijah once stood through wind-shaking ground and fire, yet my direction came in a quiet voice. The dramatic sounds were impossible to ignore, but the guidance he needed did not compete with them. He had to become still enough to notice what did not shout. My beloved child, much of your life has been built around what shouts: urgent requests, breaking news, unpaid bills, other people's expectations. The endless message that you should be doing more, earning more, improving faster, and proving that you deserve the space you occupy. These things can become so loud that the quiet voice of wisdom seems weak, though it is not weak at all. Wisdom does not panic. Truth does not need to chase you. Peace does not scream for attention. What is steady often waits beneath what is urgent. My beloved child, you were also trained to separate reason from feeling, as though one must defeat the other. You were told to ignore emotions because they could mislead you, or to follow every feeling because it must be authentic. Both extremes left you confused. Your emotions carry information, but they do not carry final authority. Your reason can organize facts, but it cannot always perceive the whole human meaning of a moment. Wholeness returns when thought, feeling, truth, responsibility, and love begin speaking to one another again. You need both clarity and compassion, both planning and openness, both caution and courage, both scripture and honest reflection, both wise counsel and personal responsibility. My beloved child, half the signal tells you what happened. The fuller signal helps you understand what it means. Half the signal hears a loved one say, "I am fine." The fuller signal notices the tired eyes, the changed tone, and the silence that follows. Half the signal sees a closed door and says failure. The fuller signal asks whether protection, redirection, or better timing may also be present. Half the signal sees your exhaustion and says try harder. The fuller signal says something in your rhythm must change. Modern life often mistrusts this deeper attention because it cannot be rushed or packaged neatly. It requires presence. It asks you to remain with a moment instead of escaping into the next one. My beloved child, I am teaching you to recover that capacity. Begin by doing fewer things at once. When you eat, eat. When you listen, listen. When you pray, stop performing for an invisible audience. When you work, give the task your honest attention, then allow yourself to stop. Your mind was not designed to remain open to every voice at every hour. Create boundaries around information. You do not need every update. You do not need to know every opinion. You do not need to respond the moment someone reaches for you. Silence is not ignorance. A boundary is not rejection. Rest is not failure. My beloved child, there may be people who resist the calmer version of you. They benefited from your constant availability. They may call your boundaries selfish because your exhaustion once made life easier for them. Let their discomfort give you information, but do not let it become your command. You are learning to protect the channel through which wisdom reaches your life. This does not require disappearing from the world. It requires refusing to let the world live inside your mind without permission. Choose what enters, choose what stays, choose what deserves your attention. And when you become overwhelmed, return to what is simple. One breath, one prayer, one page, one conversation, one responsible step. My beloved child, the fuller signal has not vanished. It still appears in the moments when you suddenly know you need to slow down. It appears when a sentence reaches deeper than the others. It appears when compassion rises before judgment, when peace remains after fear has argued, and when one honest path keeps returning to your attention. These moments reveal that your deeper awareness is alive. The world trained you to ignore it, but it could not erase it. Something in you still notices what others pass over. Something in you still senses the weight behind a smile. Something in you still recognizes when timing, truth, and responsibility meet. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will show you 4 markers that reveal why this sensitivity has remained so strong in you, and why the loneliness, perception, timing, and unexpressed potential you carry may point toward a calling you have not yet understood. My beloved child, I told you that something in you still notices what others pass over. You sense the weight behind a smile, the tension beneath ordinary words, and the difference between a busy moment and a meaningful one. These 4 markers will help you understand why that sensitivity has remained so strong. But hear me carefully. Being chosen does not mean being better than other people. It does not mean every feeling is a prophecy. It does not mean your pain proves you are more important. To be chosen is to be called into greater responsibility, deeper honesty, and more faithful service. The first marker is a loneliness that does not disappear when people are near. You may sit at a full table and still feel unseen. You may speak, laugh, work, and respond, yet sense that the deepest part of you remains outside the conversation. People see that you are functioning. They may not see the questions, burdens, and quiet battles moving behind your eyes. My beloved child, this loneliness is not always proof that everyone around you is shallow. Sometimes you learn to hide so well that others never had a chance to know you. Sometimes you became the strong one, the listener, or the helper, then wondered why no one asked what you needed. The marker is not simply isolation. It is the repeated awareness that surface connection is not enough for you. You long for truth, depth, and relationships where silence does not need to be filled with performance. Remember David in the fields before anyone thought of him as a king. His family saw a younger son watching sheep. I saw the heart being formed in hidden places. The field was lonely, but it was also teaching him attention, courage, and faithfulness before public responsibility arrived. My beloved child, hidden seasons can prepare you, but they should not become an excuse to reject community. You still need safe people. You still need correction, companionship, and care. The chosen life is not a life of permanent separation. It is a life that learns to recognize meaningful connection. The second marker is sensitivity that can feel heavier than a gift. You notice changes in tone. You feel tension before an argument begins. You can enter a room and sense when something is unsettled, even if everyone is smiling. You may recognize grief, fear, or dishonesty before another person names it. This sensitivity can make you compassionate. It can also make you exhausted. My beloved child, not every emotion you feel belongs to you. You may absorb another person's anxiety, then carry it home as though it were your assignment. You may notice a problem and immediately believe you must fix it. This is where sensitivity needs boundaries. A gift without wisdom becomes a burden. You are not responsible for regulating every room. You are not required to rescue every wounded person. You can notice without absorbing. You can care without carrying. You can pray without controlling the outcome. Jesus often recognized the needs around him, yet he also withdrew to quiet places. He did not answer every demand immediately. He moved with compassion, but not with panic. My beloved child, sensitivity becomes useful when it remains connected to rest, truth, and discernment. The third marker is timing that has made you stop and wonder. You think of someone and they contact you soon afterward. A conversation arrives when you have been asking for direction. One door closes, and later you realize it protected you from something you could not yet see. A sentence appears in several different places and keeps returning to your attention. My beloved child, do not chase every coincidence as though it were a command from me. Life contains patterns, memory, probability, and ordinary timing. Wisdom does not turn everything into a sign, but neither should you dismiss every meaningful moment. Sometimes timing invites attention. It may not give you the complete answer. It may simply tell you to pause, pray, ask a better question, or look more carefully at what is already happening. When Philip met the traveler from Ethiopia, the meeting had purpose, but Philip still had to listen, approach, ask, and explain. Timing opened the opportunity. Faithful participation gave the opportunity meaning. My beloved child, appointed moments often look ordinary until obedience enters them. The fourth marker is the painful distance between what you know you could carry and what your life currently shows. You have ideas that remain unfinished. You have compassion that has not found a place to serve. You have words that might strengthen others, yet you hesitate to speak. You can imagine a healthier family, meaningful work, deeper ministry, or a more honest life, but the vision seems larger than your current energy, confidence, or resources. This gap has made you question yourself. You have called yourself lazy when you were overwhelmed. You have called yourself undisciplined when fear was dividing your attention. You have assumed the calling was imaginary because the results were small. My beloved child, potential alone is not proof of assignment. Dreams must be tested through character, responsibility, patience, and action. A calling that comes from me will not ask you to neglect your obligations, deceive people, or build your identity on admiration. But the repeated ache to create, help, teach, build, protect, or restore may be asking for your attention. The gap between vision and output is not meant to shame you. It is meant to invite honest questions. What skill must be developed? What fear must be faced? What habit must change? What support must be received? What small act of obedience can begin today? Chosen does not mean exempt from preparation. Joseph carried dreams, but he also learned service, administration, restraint, and patience through difficult years. His gift did not remove the process. The process taught him how to carry the gift without being destroyed by it. My beloved child, these four markers do not give you permission to create a superior identity. They give you language for experiences you may have misunderstood. The loneliness points toward a need for truthful connection. The sensitivity points toward compassion guided by boundaries. The timing points toward attention and responsible response. The gap between potential and output points toward preparation, courage, and action. You are not chosen so that others will admire your difference. You are chosen to become trustworthy with what has been placed inside you. You are chosen to listen more carefully, love more honestly, and serve without disappearing. You are chosen to let pain become wisdom rather than an excuse for pride. And now you are beginning to understand why you have felt so much while producing less than you believed was possible. This understanding is not an ending, it is your beginning. The signal has often reached your heart. The difficulty came when you tried to translate that signal into language, sequence decisions, and consistent movement. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will show you why you can feel the message so strongly, yet struggle to convert it into action, and how the gap between inner knowing and outward movement can begin to close. My beloved child, I told you that the signal often reached your heart, but translating it into decisions and consistent movement was difficult. You felt the message, yet action remained delayed. You sensed direction, yet the path seemed unfinished. You have had moments when something inside you knew. You knew a conversation needed to happen. You knew a habit was draining your strength. You knew a door was no longer right. You knew an idea deserved attention. But knowing did not automatically become movement. My beloved child, this does not always mean the message was false. It may mean fear, fatigue, old disappointment, and too many competing voices interrupted the translation. Inner knowing often arrives quietly. Action requires structure. A feeling may tell you that change is needed, but action asks what must change, when it should begin, what resources are required, and what responsibility belongs to you. They feel something deeply, but they do not break it into steps. They wait for complete certainty before beginning. They mistake emotional intensity for a finished instruction. They believe that if the message came from me, every detail should arrive at once. My beloved child, I often give light for the next step before revealing the whole road. This is not because I enjoy keeping you uncertain. Growth requires participation. If I gave every answer at once, you might collect information without developing courage, judgment, or trust. Think of Abraham leaving what was familiar. He received direction to go, but he did not receive a complete explanation of every mile. The call was clear enough to begin while the details unfolded through obedience. You want the map? I may give you a compass. You want the full conversation? I may give you one honest sentence. You want proof that the work will succeed? I may give you a reason to take the first responsible step. My beloved child, movement begins when you stop demanding that clarity remove every risk. No meaningful action comes without uncertainty. Speaking honestly may change a relationship. Starting new work may expose your inexperience. Asking for help may make you feel vulnerable. Setting a boundary may disappoint someone. Courage does not wait until every uncomfortable feeling disappears. Courage listens, examines, and moves with wisdom, while fear is still present. You have also struggled because you tried to carry the message entirely in your mind. You replayed it, questioned it, refined it, and imagined every possible outcome. What began as guidance became a circle of analysis. Give the thought a place outside your head. Separate what you know from what you assume. Name the smallest action that agrees with truth. My beloved child, an idea becomes easier to test when it becomes visible. You may write, "I believe I need to change jobs." Then ask, "What can I do without making a reckless decision?" Update one document, research one opportunity, speak with one trustworthy person, review your finances, learn what preparation is needed. The first step does not have to carry the weight of the whole future. This principle applies to relationships too. You may feel that something is wrong, but the feeling alone is not a verdict. Ask what behavior created the concern. Look for patterns rather than one moment. Speak clearly. Listen carefully. Seek wise support if the situation is confusing or unsafe. My beloved child, intuition should lead you toward honest examination, not impulsive accusation. The message becomes useful when truth and responsibility meet. Another reason you struggle to act is that disappointment taught you to distrust your judgment. Choices failed. Someone blamed you. A relationship changed. Now you hesitate, fearing that another imperfect decision will prove you cannot trust yourself. But wisdom is not the absence of mistakes. Wisdom is the ability to learn, adjust, repair, and continue. Peter stepped out of the boat because he recognized my invitation. Then fear interrupted him and he began to sink. I did not use that moment to prove he should never move again. I reached for him, corrected him, and kept forming him. My beloved child, a shaky step can still be a real step. Do not turn one failure into a lifelong command to remain still. You may also be waiting for motivation. You tell yourself that when the feeling becomes stronger, you will act, but motivation changes with sleep, stress, weather, conflict, and health. A meaningful life cannot be built only on the days when emotion agrees. Create a rhythm, choose a time, make the action small enough to repeat. Let consistency carry what excitement cannot. If you feel called to write, begin with one page. If you feel called to repair trust, begin with one truthful conversation. If you feel called to serve, begin with one act that respects your capacity. If you feel called to care for your health, begin with one responsible appointment or routine. My beloved child, action gives shape to what was once only sensed. Still, do not confuse constant activity with obedience. Some people move quickly because they are afraid to sit with uncertainty. They start projects, send messages, make promises, and change direction before wisdom has time to settle. There is a difference between movement and progress. Movement can be panic. Progress has direction. Before you act, ask whether the step is honest, responsible, and aligned with the character I am forming in you. Ask whether it respects your obligations and the dignity of others. Ask whether wise counsel confirms the path. My guidance will not require deception. It will not ask you to abandon necessary care. It will not demand that you manipulate another person. It will not make you superior to correction. My beloved child, test what you feel, then act on what remains true. You do not need to turn every impression into a mission. Some thoughts are temporary. Some desires come from loneliness, fear, pride, or exhaustion. Let time reveal what persists. A genuine direction often becomes clearer through repeated truth-wise confirmation, responsible opportunity, and growing peace. It may still challenge you, but it will not need fantasy to survive. The gap between message and action begins closing when you practice this rhythm. Listen, write, examine. Break it into steps. Seek counsel. Act responsibly. Review what happened. Adjust without shame. This is how trust in your own judgment is rebuilt. Not through one dramatic decision, but through many honest ones. My beloved child, you are not waiting for a perfect version of yourself to arrive. The person you are becoming is formed. while you respond to what is already clear. The unfinished message is not always a sign that something is missing. Sometimes the next piece appears only after you move. A path becomes visible beneath walking feet. A conversation reveals its direction after the first truthful words. A calling develops through service. Faith becomes steadier through practiced obedience. Now you are approaching a moment when attention, readiness, and responsible movement can meet. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will show you what a Kairos window means and why an appointed season is not permission to wait for magic, but an invitation to recognize the moment and participate wisely. My beloved child, I told you that an appointed season is not permission to wait for magic. It is an invitation to recognize the moment and participate wisely. July 20th through the 22nd can become such a window for you, not because dates control me, but because attention, preparation, and opportunity can meet in ways that change what happens next. This is what Kairos means. It is not ordinary time passing on a clock. It is meaningful time. It is the moment when what has been growing beneath the surface becomes ready to be noticed, received, and acted upon. My beloved child, Chronos counts the days. Kairos reveals what the days are carrying. You have lived through long stretches where nothing seemed to move. You prayed, worked, waited, and wondered whether anything was changing. Yet beneath what you could see, roots were forming, character was being tested, motives were becoming clearer, certain relationships were revealing their true condition. Some doors were closing because they could not carry the weight of what comes next. A field does not look productive while the seed is hidden. The soil appears quiet. The ground may even look empty. But hidden does not mean absent. My beloved child, many of your hardest seasons were preparing the soil of your life. Disappointment loosened your dependence on approval. Delay exposed where fear was controlling you. Loneliness showed you the difference between company and true connection. Exhaustion forced you to question a rhythm that had been draining you for years. None of that pain was meaningless, but pain itself was never the goal. The goal was readiness. You were being taught to recognize what nourishes life and what quietly drains it away. A farmer cannot command the harvest to appear before the seed has rooted. At the same time, when the season changes, the farmer must notice. There comes a moment to stop preparing the field and begin gathering what has grown. My beloved child, these 3 days are an invitation to notice whether your season has shifted. Do not search for spectacle. Look for alignment. Look for the conversation that becomes possible after months of avoidance. Look for the decision that no longer feels confusing. Look for the opportunity that agrees with your values, responsibilities, and gifts. Look for the boundary that brings relief rather than revenge. Look for the small action that keeps returning to your attention with quiet steadiness. Kairos is often recognized through clarity, not excitement. It may feel less like thunder and more like a door finally opening without force. Remember Esther. She did not choose the crisis around her, and she could not control every outcome. Yet there came a moment when remaining silent would have become its own decision. She prepared, sought support, accepted the risk, and stepped forward at the right time. The opportunity mattered. Her participation mattered too. My beloved child, an appointed moment does not remove responsibility. It increases it. When a door opens, you still have to decide whether to walk through. When truth becomes clear, you still have to live by it. When support arrives, you still have to receive it without surrendering your judgment. This is why I have been teaching you to listen, examine, and act. A Kairos window is wasted when someone expects a dramatic rescue, but refuses the honest step already in front of them. Perhaps you have been waiting for a complete change in your finances, while the first step is reviewing what you avoid. Perhaps you have been waiting for a relationship to heal, while the first step is one truthful conversation and one clear boundary. Perhaps you have been waiting to feel called, while the first step is serving faithfully where you already stand. Perhaps you have been waiting for peace, while the first step is leaving the noise long enough to hear what your body and spirit have been saying. My beloved child, do not despise small beginnings. Important seasons often announce themselves quietly. A message arrives. A person returns with humility. A delayed answer becomes clear. A closed door finally makes sense. A new idea refuses to disappear. A burden that once felt permanent begins to loosen. These things do not guarantee a specific outcome, They invite attention. You must still test what comes. Ask whether the opportunity requires dishonesty. Ask whether it pressures you to ignore wise counsel. Ask whether it respects the dignity of everyone involved. Ask whether it strengthens responsibility or feeds fantasy. Ask whether peace remains after the first emotional wave passes. My beloved child, what comes from me can withstand careful examination. Kairos does not require recklessness. It does not ask you to spend money you do not have, abandon necessary treatment, break commitments carelessly, or trust someone who has not shown character. An appointed moment will call for courage, but courage and impulsiveness are not the same. Courage accepts responsibility for a wise step. Impulsiveness demands relief without considering the cost. These 3 days can become a sacred pause where you choose courage over reaction. On the first day, observe. Notice what has changed inside you. Notice which fear has lost some of its power. Notice what truth keeps returning. On the second day, prepare. Gather the information you need. Speak with someone trustworthy. Make room in your schedule. Remove one distraction that keeps scattering your attention. On the third day, respond. Take one action that agrees with what has become clear. It may be a phone call, an application, an apology, a boundary, an appointment, a plan, or a decision to wait with greater wisdom. My beloved child, waiting can also be an action when waiting is chosen consciously. There are moments when the right response is to stop pushing. A door that requires constant force may not be ready, or it may not be yours. Kairos is not only about moving. It is about moving at the right time in the right spirit for the right reason. You have often confused urgency with timing. Urgency says act before you lose everything. Kairos says be awake enough to recognize what is truly yours to do. Urgency tightens the body. Kairos gathers the heart. Urgency fears that one missed moment will destroy the future. Kairos trusts that wisdom can still redirect an imperfect step. My beloved child, no person can stop the inner readiness that has been forming within you. Others may delay a plan. They may misunderstand your choice. Circumstances may change. Yet no one can prevent you from becoming more honest, more attentive, more disciplined, and more willing to follow truth. That is the part of this window no one can take from you. You can choose to listen. You can choose to release what no longer belongs. You can choose to prepare. You can choose to respond. And when you do, ordinary days can become turning points. The date does not create the transformation. Your willingness to meet the moment does. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will show you 5 forms of interference that often appear before a meaningful shift and how to recognize them without fear, superstition, or surrendering your wisdom. My beloved child, I told you that a meaningful shift can attract noise, confusion, pressure, and doubt. But I also told you not to become afraid or superstitious. Not every difficult moment is an attack, and not every delay is a sign. Wisdom looks carefully before it names what is happening. There are 5 forms of interference you may notice when you begin moving toward greater clarity. The first is mental fog. You sit down to make a simple decision, yet your thoughts scatter. You forget what you entered the room to do. You reread the same message and still feel unsure. A task that should take 10 minutes becomes an hour of hesitation. My beloved child, mental fog can come from many places. Lack of sleep, stress, grief, constant notifications, poor health, and too many unfinished responsibilities can all divide your attention. Do not immediately call it spiritual warfare. Begin with honesty. Ask whether you have rested. Ask what information you have consumed. Ask whether fear has been rehearsing the same future all day. Ask whether you need practical help. Sometimes the most spiritual response is to sleep, eat, step outside, reduce the noise, and speak with a qualified professional if the fog continues. Interference gains power when you panic about it. Clarity begins when you respond calmly. The second form is relational tension. As you change, some relationships may feel different. A person who is comfortable with your silence may resist your honesty. Someone who depended on your constant availability may call your boundary selfish. An ordinary disagreement may become sharper because both people are tired, afraid, or carrying unspoken disappointment. My beloved child, do not assume every conflict proves that someone is against your calling. People are complex. Misunderstandings happen. Stress changes tone. Old wounds can enter new conversations. Before you accuse, listen. Before you withdraw, ask. Before you send the message written in anger, wait until your body becomes calmer. Nehemiah faced opposition while rebuilding, but he did not treat every person as an enemy. He watched carefully, prayed, organized the work, and responded to real threats with wisdom. You must learn the same balance. Protect what is being rebuilt without turning suspicion into your permanent way of seeing people. The third form is financial pressure. An unexpected bill arrives, a payment is delayed, a plan costs more than expected. Suddenly, the fear of scarcity becomes louder than the direction you had begun to recognize. Money pressure can make you rush. It can make a risky offer look like rescue. It can make you abandon a wise plan because the first stage feels uncomfortable. My beloved child, financial pressure is real, but panic is a poor advisor. Do not spend money you do not have to prove that you believe. Do not accept every promise of fast provision. Do not call recklessness faith. Review the facts. Ask for responsible guidance. Protect essential needs. Make adjustments without shame. Remember the widow who gathered what little she had and followed clear instruction one step at a time. The story was not about pretending there was no need. The need was named honestly. The response was practical, measured, and faithful. Provision and responsibility can walk together. The fourth form is physical strain. You may feel tired, tense, restless, or unable to settle. Your shoulders may remain tight, your sleep may change, your breathing may become shallow during stressful moments. These experiences can happen when your body has carried pressure for too long. My beloved child, your body deserves care, not spiritual guessing. Do not assume pain, chest discomfort, severe headaches, dizziness, or continuing exhaustion are signs of a breakthrough. They may need medical attention. Seeking appropriate care is not a lack of faith. Wisdom receives help from trained people and does not ignore warning signs. Your body is not an obstacle to your purpose. It is part of the life entrusted to you. Give it water, food, movement, rest, and professional care when needed. Reduce what keeps it in constant alarm. Slow breathing can help you settle, but it should not replace treatment when symptoms are serious or persistent. Sometimes interference is simply an overloaded nervous system asking for kindness. The fifth form is self-doubt. This one often speaks quietly. It does not always sound afraid. Sometimes it sounds intelligent, mature, and cautious. It says perhaps you imagine the whole thing. It says you always begin and never finish. It says someone like you should stop expecting more. My beloved child, not every doubt is an enemy. Some doubts protect you from pride, fantasy, and careless choices. A wise question can save you from a foolish step. But self-doubt becomes interference when it refuses. Every piece of evidence repeats old shame as though it were truth and demands perfect certainty before allowing any movement. Learn the difference between examination and self-rejection. Examination asks, is this honest, responsible, and wise? Self-rejection says nothing good could ever come through me. Examination gathers facts. Self-rejection uses your past as a weapon. Gideon questioned whether he was capable of what was being asked of him. I did not shame him for needing reassurance, yet reassurance eventually had to become action. Questions can accompany faith, but they cannot be allowed to postpone every step forever. My beloved child, when doubt appears, do not argue with it for hours. Write down what is true. Name what you know, what you fear, and what you still need to learn. Then choose the smallest responsible action available. These 5 forms of interference can overlap. Mental fog can create poor communication. Relational tension can increase financial fear. Financial pressure can disturb sleep. Physical exhaustion can make self-doubt sound convincing. This is why you must not fight each problem as though it existed alone. Look at the whole pattern. Calm observation can reveal connections that fear kept hidden while you were reacting to each problem separately. Ask what needs immediate attention and what can wait. Ask what requires prayer, what requires a conversation, what requires a budget, and what requires professional care. My beloved child, recognition is not permission to become obsessed with resistance. Do not spend your life looking for enemies in every delay. The purpose of naming interference is not to make you fearful. It is to help you remain steady. You do not overcome fog by panicking. You do not heal conflict by accusing. You do not solve financial pressure through fantasy. You do not care for your body by ignoring it. You do not answer doubt by pretending questions do not exist. You respond with truth, patience, responsibility, support, and the next faithful step. A shift becomes stable when your inner life and outer choices begin working together. That is why the pressure has felt so complicated. You have not been facing only one battle. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will show you that you have been fighting on two fronts, one in the circumstances around you, and another within your own thoughts, emotions, and attention. You are not a weak commander. You have been trying to lead while your communication system was overwhelmed. My beloved child, I told you that you have been trying to lead while your communication system was overwhelmed. You have not been facing one battle. You have been fighting two wars at the same time, and that is why even simple days have felt heavier than they should. One war has been outside you. Bills, responsibilities, difficult people, uncertain work, changing plans, family needs, and decisions that could not be ignored. The second war has been inside you. Fear interpreting every delay, shame questioning your worth, exhaustion making small problems feel enormous, a divided attention trying to listen, plan, remember, pray, and protect everyone at once. My beloved child, when these two wars overlap, you begin to think the problem is your character. You call yourself weak because you cannot move faster. You call yourself undisciplined because your focus breaks. You call yourself faithless because your prayers feel scattered. But a commander receiving 10 conflicting reports cannot make a clear decision by simply trying harder. The problem is not always courage. Sometimes the problem is communication. Imagine standing over a map while voices speak from every direction. One person warns of danger, another demands action, another says, wait, another reminds you of a past failure. The map is covered with notes, but no message is given enough quiet to be understood. This is how your inner world has often felt. My beloved child, the external battle speaks through circumstances. It asks practical questions. What must be paid? What conversation must happen? What responsibility cannot be delayed? What support is available? What risk is real? The internal battle speaks through interpretation. What if everything goes wrong? What if I disappoint everyone? What if this delay means I have failed? What if I make the wrong choice and cannot recover? The first battle requires action. The second requires truth. You have suffered because you tried to solve both battles with the same response. When fear rose, you worked harder. When exhaustion rose, you added more plans. When confusion came, you gathered more opinions. When your body asked for rest, you treated rest as surrender. My beloved child, effort cannot correct every kind of problem. A broken schedule needs adjustment. A strained relationship needs honest communication. A medical concern may need professional care. A fearful thought needs examination. A tired body needs rest. A spiritual question may need prayer, scripture, patience, and wise counsel. This is how communication begins to return. Each message is sent to the right place. Remember Moses trying to carry the needs of an entire people alone. From morning until evening, every question and conflict came through him. Jethro watched and told him plainly that the pattern was not good. Moses was not failing because he lacked devotion. He was overwhelmed because too much depended on one channel. My beloved child, wisdom did not tell Moses to become stronger alone. Wisdom taught him to share responsibility, create structure, and let trustworthy people help carry the work. You need that lesson too. Not every problem requires your personal control. Not every emotion in the room is yours to manage. Not every request deserves an immediate answer. Not every decision must be made while you are afraid. A wise commander does not stand in every part of the battlefield at once. A wise commander receives reliable information, protects communication delegates, responsibility, and chooses priorities. My beloved child, begin by separating what is happening from what you are telling yourself about it. The fact may be that a payment is late. The story may be that you will lose everything. The fact may be that someone is quiet. The story may be that they are preparing to leave. The fact may be that you feel tired. The story may be that you have become incapable. Facts deserve attention. Stories deserve examination. When you mix them together, fear speaks with the authority of truth. Write down the situation in simple language. Then write the meaning you have assigned to it. This small practice can restore communication between what is real and what is imagined. My beloved child, you must also protect the messages entering your system. Too many opinions can become another form of static. One person speaks from experience, another speaks from fear, another tells you what benefits them, another offers confidence without understanding your situation. Listen, but do not surrender your judgment. Seek people who respect truth, responsibility, boundaries, and patience. Good counsel does not make you dependent. It helps you see the map more clearly. Prayer also changes when the communication system becomes calmer. You stop using prayer only as an emergency alarm. You begin bringing me the facts, the fear, the options, and the responsibility before the crisis controls you. My beloved child, you can say, "This is what happened. This is what I feel. This is what I fear. This is what I know. This is what I need help understanding." Honest prayer does not require perfect words. It requires presence. You may not receive a complete answer immediately, but naming the real question often quiets the false ones. Your body is also part of this communication system. When your breathing becomes shallow, your muscles remain tight, and your sleep is repeatedly disturbed, decision-making becomes harder. Do not shame your body for responding to pressure. Care for it. Slow down before major choices. Eat, rest, move. Seek medical support when symptoms are serious, unfamiliar, or persistent. My beloved child, caring for your body is not separate from spiritual wisdom. You are one life, not divided pieces. As communication improves, you will notice that the two wars no longer control each other so easily. An external delay will not automatically become an inner collapse. A fearful thought will not automatically become an impulsive decision. A tense conversation will not automatically define the whole relationship. You will create space between the event and the response. That space is where wisdom can speak. My beloved child, you are not a weak commander. You have been trying to lead while too many signals were arriving without order. Now the channels are becoming clearer. Truth can reach fear. Rest can reach exhaustion. Support can reach responsibility. Prayer can reach confusion. Wise action can reach the problem in front of you. This restoration may begin quietly. You may pause before replying. You may ask one better question. You may realize that a crisis is actually two smaller problems. You may choose help instead of isolation. These are not insignificant changes. They are signs that your inner communication is becoming trustworthy again. You will begin recognizing that strength is not the ability to silence every alarm. Strength is knowing which alarm requires action, which requires patience, and which was triggered by an old wound rather than danger. This discernment will protect your energy and steadily restore confidence. And when communication becomes clearer, you can finally see where the fog has been costing you most. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will show you how this fog has affected your finances, your closest relationships, and your spiritual clarity, and why restoring attention will change more than the way you think. My beloved child, I told you that when it has touched your money, your relationships, and your ability to recognize my guidance with peace. The first cost has been financial clarity. You have had ideas that carried real potential. Some were practical, some were creative. Some could have opened a new stream of income, reduced pressure, or changed the direction of your work. Yet the moment action was required, confusion entered. You researched until the opportunity passed. You compared so many options that none felt safe. You waited for perfect certainty while the useful window became smaller. Then you blamed yourself for hesitating. My beloved child, hesitation does not always mean laziness. Sometimes your mind was trying to protect you from repeating an old loss. Sometimes you lacked reliable information. Sometimes exhaustion made every choice feel dangerous. But fear can become expensive when it is never examined. It can make you ignore a wise opportunity because it is unfamiliar. It can also make you chase a risky promise because you are desperate for relief. Financial wisdom requires more than courage. It requires facts, patience, restraint, and the humility to ask for help. Do not call every exciting idea provision. Do not call every delay failure. Do not invest money simply because someone uses spiritual language. Review the numbers. Understand the risk. Protect your essential responsibilities. Speak with someone qualified when the decision is beyond your knowledge. My beloved child, I can guide you through practical wisdom. Faith does not require you to close your eyes to facts. Joseph prepared Egypt for years of scarcity by paying attention, creating structure, storing resources, and acting before the crisis arrived. Spiritual insight became practical preparation. That is the kind of clarity I am restoring in you. You will begin to see that one opportunity needs action, another needs more research, and another needs to be released. The second cost has been connection. Fog changes the way you hear people. You listen to words while your mind prepares a defense. You notice a change in tone and immediately assume rejection. You enter a conversation carrying the memory of a different person who hurt you years ago. The person in front of you speaks, but the past answers first. My beloved child, this is how small misunderstandings become deep wounds. Someone says they need space, and fear hears abandonment. Someone asks a question, and shame hears criticism. Someone forgets something important, and pain says you never mattered. The event may deserve a response, but the meaning you attach to it can become larger than what actually happened. Connection requires enough inner quiet to separate the present from the past. Ask what was said. Ask what you assumed. Ask what still needs clarification. Do not punish someone for a conversation they have not had with you. At the same time, do not use compassion to excuse repeated disrespect. Clarity does not mean explaining away harmful patterns. It means seeing them accurately. A single mistake may need grace. A repeated pattern may need a boundary. A sincere apology may deserve time. Manipulation may require distance. My beloved child, healthy connection depends on both truth and mercy. Without truth, you disappear. Without mercy, every relationship becomes a courtroom. You are learning to remain present long enough to hear the need beneath the words without abandoning your own needs. Remember how Jesus spoke with the woman at the well. He did not ignore the truth of her life, but he did not reduce her to it. He heard the thirst beneath the conversation. He met honesty with dignity. That is deeper connection. It sees the behavior, the wound, the responsibility, and the person at the same time. The fog has often allowed you to see only one piece. Now the fuller picture is returning. The third cost has been spiritual clarity. You have prayed while distracted. You have read scripture while your mind moved through unfinished tasks. You have asked for direction, then filled every quiet moment with another voice before wisdom had time to settle. My beloved child, I was not absent. You were overloaded. You sometimes expected my guidance to arrive as an overwhelming feeling, a perfect sign, or an answer that removed every uncertainty. When none of those appeared, you assumed I was silent. But I often guide through what remains steady, a truth that continues returning, a conviction that produces honesty, a boundary that becomes clearer after prayer, a responsible step confirmed through scripture, character, time, and wise counsel. Spiritual clarity is not the ability to turn every feeling into a message from me. It is the ability to recognize what agrees with truth and leads toward love, courage, responsibility, and peace. My beloved child, fog can make fear sound spiritual. Fear says act immediately or you will miss everything. Wisdom says move when the step is honest and clear enough. Fear says if the answer is difficult, it cannot be from me. Wisdom knows that truth can challenge you without humiliating you. Fear says one sign is enough. Wisdom looks for consistency, character, and confirmation. You do not need to chase hidden meanings in every number, dream, delay, or coincidence. I am able to guide you without trapping you inside constant interpretation. My voice does not make you less grounded. It makes you more truthful, more compassionate, more responsible, more willing to admit when you do not know. My beloved child, restoring clarity in these three areas will not happen through one dramatic moment. It will grow through repeated choices. Pause before financial decisions. Listen fully during important conversations. Create silence before asking for direction. Write down what is true. Seek wise counsel. Care for your body. Let time expose what emotion cannot. You will notice the fog lifting through practical changes. You will make one decision without days of torment. You will hear someone without immediately defending yourself. You will pray without forcing an answer. You will recognize that peace is not passivity and caution is not fear. These changes will restore trust in the way you think, love, and respond. Do not mourn every missed opportunity as though it can never return. Some doors were lessons. Some relationships revealed what needed healing. Some quiet seasons taught you what constant activity had concealed. What matters now is not recovering every former possibility, but becoming ready to recognize and steward the next one wisely. My beloved child, the fog cost you more than time, but it did not take your future. Money can be handled more wisely. Relationships can become more honest. Spiritual attention can become steady again. The next step is understanding that renewal is not merely changing a few thoughts on the surface. It must reach the patterns through which you process pressure, truth, emotion, and responsibility. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will show you why the renewed mind must become more than positive thinking, and how real restoration begins when truth reshapes both your inner patterns and your daily way of living. My beloved child, I told you that renewal must become more than changing a few thoughts on the surface. It must reach the patterns through which you process pressure, truth, emotion, responsibility, and rest. This is why I want you to understand the renewed mind as something deeper than positive thinking. Think of a house with new paint covering old wiring. The walls may look fresh, but the hidden system still carries the same strain. One overloaded circuit can keep dimming every room, no matter how beautiful the surface appears. My beloved child, this is what happens when you repeat hopeful words while continuing the habits that keep your inner life exhausted. You say you trust me, but you never stop long enough to notice what fear is doing. You say you want peace, but you keep inviting noise into every quiet moment. You say you are changing, but your schedule still rewards the same patterns that broke your attention. Words matter, belief matters, but renewal must enter the structure of your life. The source you once listened to may have described this as hardware and software. Let the image help you, but do not turn it into a medical diagnosis. Your mind is not a defective machine. You are a living person whose thoughts, body, relationships, habits, memories, and spiritual life affect one another. Software can represent the ideas you carry. Hardware can represent the rhythms that determine whether those ideas can become lived truth. My beloved child, you may read about rest, yet build a life where rest is impossible. You may learn about boundaries, yet answer every request immediately. You may pray for clarity, yet consume so much information that no thought remains long enough to become wisdom. The message is not always the problem. The conditions receiving the message may need attention. This is what Paul meant when he spoke about being transformed through the renewing of the mind. He was not offering a slogan. He was describing a life that stops being shaped by old patterns and begins learning a new way to discern what is good, honest, and faithful. Renewal changes what you notice. It changes what you tolerate. It changes how quickly fear can command you. It changes the story you attach to disappointment. It changes the way you respond when someone questions you. My beloved child, a renewed mind does not merely think brighter thoughts. It learns a new process. First it pauses, then it observes, then it separates fact from fear, then it brings the situation into truth. Then it chooses a responsible response. This process may feel slower at first because panic trained you to react quickly, but slow does not mean weak. Sometimes one careful pause prevents months of repair. Remember how Jesus slept in the boat while the storm frightened the disciples. The storm was real. Water was entering. Their fear was understandable. Yet panic convinced them that danger also meant abandonment. My beloved child, the renewed mind learns to hold both truths. The storm is real. I am still present. The problem needs attention. Fear does not need control. You can act without surrendering your peace. This is the deeper restoration. You do not need to deny what hurts. You need a system within your life that helps you process pain without letting pain rewrite your identity. That system includes prayer, rest, honest reflection, scripture, healthy relationships, wise boundaries, and practical care. No single practice carries everything. Prayer without honest action can become avoidance. Action without prayer can become control. Rest without responsibility can become escape. Responsibility without rest becomes exhaustion. My beloved child, renewal brings these pieces back into relationship with one another. Your body communicates when pressure has become too much. Your emotions reveal what needs attention. Your thoughts organize what you are experiencing. Scripture gives you a standard beyond temporary feeling. Trusted people offer perspective. Prayer brings the whole situation before me. This is not weakness. This is wholeness. You have often tried to repair your life by adding more information. Another book, another sermon, another video, another promise to become different by Monday. For a few days, motivation rose. Then the old rhythm returned. My beloved child, the information may have been good. The structure around it was unchanged. A seed cannot grow merely because it receives a better description of sunlight. It needs soil, water, space, and time. In the same way, truth needs conditions where it can take root. Choose one truth and build around it. If the truth is that your body needs care, change the schedule. If the truth is that a relationship needs honesty, prepare the conversation. If the truth is that your attention is scattered, remove one source of noise. If the truth is that you need help, contact someone trustworthy. Renewal becomes real when truth changes behavior. My beloved child, do not try to rebuild everything in one day. That is another form of the old system, the belief that transformation must be immediate to be genuine. Strong foundations are formed through repetition. One morning without reaching for your phone first. One evening when you stop working at a reasonable time. One conversation where you speak truth without attacking. One decision made from facts instead of panic. One prayer where you stop performing and say what is actually happening. These small choices rewire the rhythm of your life, not through magic, but through practice. You may feel resistance. Old patterns will call themselves familiar, responsible, or necessary. The part of you that survived through constant vigilance may become nervous when peace begins entering. It may whisper that if you relax, something will go wrong. My beloved child, thank that frightened part for trying to protect you, then teach it a new truth. You can remain attentive without living alarmed. You can prepare without predicting disaster. You can care for others without abandoning yourself. You can trust me without refusing practical wisdom. The renewed mind is not passive, it is available. Available to correction, available to new information, available to rest, available to courage, available to a direction that does not match the old pattern. My beloved child, hardware restoration is only a metaphor for a deeper reality. I am restoring the inner framework through which you receive, examine, and live truth. I am teaching your whole life to cooperate with what your mouth has been praying. You will know renewal is happening when peace begins influencing your schedule, when truth begins shaping your boundaries, and when wisdom becomes visible in ordinary decisions. The change will not always feel dramatic. It will feel stable. It will feel honest. It will feel like returning to something you once knew before hurry, fear, and performance became normal. This returning will not make you childish. It will make you integrated, able to carry wonder and responsibility within the same steady heart again. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will show you that the child you remember is not gone. That open, creative, trusting part of you was buried beneath pressure, but it is still alive, waiting to be welcomed into the wiser person you are becoming. My beloved child, I told you that the child you remember is not gone. That open, creative, trusting part of you was buried beneath pressure, but it is still alive, waiting to be welcomed into the wiser person you are becoming. You may remember flashes of that earlier self. A morning when light through a window felt like a message. An afternoon when a simple object became the beginning of an entire world. A question you asked because curiosity mattered more than appearing intelligent. A moment when you laughed without wondering who was watching. My beloved child, that person was not foolish. That person was present. You had not yet learned to measure every idea by usefulness. Then life taught you to become careful. You learned that some people laughed at what they did not understand. You learned that honest questions could make adults uncomfortable. You learned that being different sometimes created distance, so you began protecting what was tender. You did not destroy it. You buried it. You placed your imagination beneath responsibility. You placed your sensitivity beneath a serious face. You placed your questions beneath answers that earned approval. You placed your need for comfort beneath the role of the strong one. My beloved child, the burial happened slowly. Each disappointment added another layer. Each time someone said you were too emotional, too quiet, too curious, too intense, or too unrealistic, you adjusted yourself to become easier for others to understand. Eventually, the version of you that people accepted became louder than the version of you that felt true. You learned how to keep moving when your heart needed attention. But functioning is not the same as living fully. The child within you kept speaking through small things, through the music that suddenly brought tears, through the desire to draw, write, build, sing, explore, or begin again. through the ache you felt when you watched someone live with freedom. My beloved child, jealousy is not always ugliness. Sometimes it reveals a part of your own life that has been neglected. The person you envy may simply be carrying something you gave yourself permission to bury. Perhaps you miss creating without needing applause. Perhaps you miss speaking without rehearsing every sentence. Perhaps you miss trusting your own delight. Perhaps you miss feeling that life contained possibility. Remember the boy who offered his bread and fish when the crowd was hungry. An adult might have looked at the amount and called it meaningless. The child offered what he had without first proving it was enough. My beloved child, childlike faith does not deny limitation. It brings what is available and trusts that small offerings can matter. You have postponed many beginnings because you believed they were too small. One page seemed too little to become a book. One conversation seemed too weak to repair distance. One lesson seemed too small to change your work. One act of service seemed too ordinary to become a calling. The child within you understands something the fearful adult forgets. Beginnings are allowed to be small. You do not need to recover every childhood dream. Some dreams belong to a season. Some were shaped by limited understanding. Restoration is not about becoming exactly who you were. It is about recovering the qualities that pressure buried: curiosity, honesty, wonder, the ability to learn without shame, the freedom to begin before you are impressive. My beloved child, you can bring these qualities into adult responsibility. You can be wise without becoming cynical. You can plan without strangling imagination. You can protect yourself without closing every door. You can admit uncertainty without believing you are weak. The adult you are carries experience. The child you were carries openness. When they learn to walk together, you become both grounded and alive. You may need to grieve what that younger version of you endured. There were moments when you needed protection and did not receive it. There were words that settled deeply because no one helped you challenge them. There were times when you learned that love could be withdrawn if you disappointed someone. My beloved child, I saw those moments. I saw the child who tried to become quiet enough to avoid conflict. I saw the child who became useful to feel secure. I saw the child who stopped asking for help because help came with shame. I saw the child who decided that needing less would hurt less. You survived through adaptation. Do not hate yourself for it. The strategies that protected you then may be limiting you now, but they were formed by a mind trying to keep you safe. Treat them with truth, not contempt. You can say, I no longer need to disappear to remain loved. You can say, I am allowed to ask questions. You can say, rest does not make me useless. You can say, my feelings deserve attention even when they do not control my decisions. My beloved child, healing the buried child does not mean obeying every impulse. Children need guidance, boundaries, and care. The tender part within you also needs these things. Give it structure that feels safe. Make room for play without neglecting duty. Create without demanding immediate success. Speak honestly with people who have earned trust. Seek professional support when old memories or wounds feel too heavy to carry alone. There is courage in receiving help for what happened before you had words to explain it. Jesus placed a child among his disciples when they were arguing about greatness. The child was not used as a symbol of importance, but of humility, receiving, and dependence without performance. My beloved child, you have spent years proving that you can survive without needing anyone. Now you are learning a different strength. The strength to receive, the strength to remain teachable, the strength to admit that wonder still matters, the strength to let joy enter without asking how long it will stay. Return to one activity that once made time disappear. Listen to music without multitasking. Walk somewhere beautiful without turning the moment into content. Write what you truly think before editing it for approval. Ask a question because you want to understand. Let laughter come without apology. These are not childish distractions. They are ways of reminding your nervous system and heart that life is more than danger, duty, and survival. My beloved child, the buried part of you will not return through force. It will return through safety. It will emerge when you keep promises to yourself, protect your boundaries, choose trustworthy people, and stop mocking the things that make you feel alive. You will recognize its return in small moments. A willingness to try again, a joy that does not need explanation, But as this part of you rises, you will also see what buried it. Old conclusions will become visible. Rejection, failure, and disappointment were stacked into beliefs about who you were allowed to become. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will show you how you built a wall from events I intended to become stairs, and how the memories that taught you unworthiness can be re-examined without denying the pain they caused. My beloved child, I told you that as the buried part of you begins to rise, the beliefs that pushed it underground will also become visible. Rejection, failure, loss, and disappointment were stacked into conclusions about who you were allowed to become. You built a wall from events I intended to become stairs. Hear me carefully. I am not saying every painful thing was sent by me. Some pain came from human choices. Some came from broken systems. Some came from your own decisions. Some came simply because life in this world can wound people who did not deserve the wound. My beloved child, I do not call harm good. I do not ask you to pretend betrayal was love, neglect was protection, or abuse was preparation. Truth must name what happened honestly before healing can begin. But what harmed you does not get the final word. The first brick was often rejection. Someone did not choose you. A friend withdrew. A parent failed to understand you. A relationship ended. An opportunity went to someone else. The event hurt, but the meaning you attached to it became even heavier. You told yourself, I was not enough. That sentence became a brick, then failure added another. You tried something and it did not work. Perhaps you made a poor decision. Perhaps you were unprepared. Perhaps the timing was wrong. Instead of saying this attempt failed, you said, I am a failure. Another brick. My beloved child, grief added more. You lost a person, a season, a dream, a home, a sense of safety, or a version of yourself. Because the loss could not be reversed, you began believing your future had also been taken. Another brick. Then unanswered prayer became part of the wall. You asked for change and saw no immediate movement. You asked for protection but still faced pain. You asked for clarity, and silence seemed to remain. You concluded that you were unheard, forgotten, or unworthy of an answer. Brick after brick, the wall grew. Eventually, you stopped seeing the events themselves. You saw only the verdict you had built from them. My beloved child, walls change the way you interpret everything. When someone offers kindness, the wall says there must be a hidden motive. When an opportunity appears, the wall says you will fail again. When peace enters, the wall warns that loss will follow. The wall was built to protect you from pain, but it also blocked your view of possibility. This is why I am helping you examine each brick, not to erase history, not to excuse people, not to force gratitude for what wounded you. I am helping you separate the event from the identity you created around it. Rejection may reveal another person's limits. It does not automatically reveal your worth. Failure may reveal a skill that needs development, a plan that needs adjustment, or a direction that needs to change. It does not have authority to name your entire life. Loss may create grief that deserves time and care. It does not prove that nothing good can grow again. Delay may require patience, preparation, or a different answer. It does not prove that I have abandoned you. My beloved child, this is how a brick can become a step. The event remains real. The lesson becomes clearer. The false identity is released. Then you stand higher than before, not because pain made you superior, but because truth helped you use what remained. Remember Jacob returning toward the brother he had wronged. The night before the meeting, he wrestled until he could no longer rely on his old strength. He left with a limp, but also with a new name and a different way of walking. The struggle did not become beautiful because it hurt. It became meaningful because Jacob stopped running from truth. My beloved child, some stairs are formed when you accept responsibility. You admit where pride led you. You apologize without demanding immediate forgiveness. You repair what can be repaired. You change the habit that keeps producing the same harm. Responsibility removes bricks that excuses would leave in place. Other stairs are formed through boundaries. You stop giving unlimited access to someone who repeatedly misuses it. You stop calling chaos love. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop returning to places where your dignity must be traded for belonging. A boundary is not bitterness. It is a step toward living in truth. Some stairs are formed when you receive help. The wall told you that needing support made you weak. It taught you to hide what hurt, smile quickly, and say you were fine. But healing may require a counselor, doctor, pastor, trusted friend, support group, or practical resource. My beloved child, you do not honor strength by refusing every hand. You honor truth by recognizing what you cannot carry alone. As each brick is examined, you may feel anger. Let it tell you where something was violated, but do not let it become your permanent guide. You may feel sadness. Let it honor what was lost, but do not let it convince you that life has ended. You may feel relief, then guilt for feeling better. Receive the relief. Healing does not betray the person you were. It honors the person who survived. My beloved child, you have used some memories as evidence against yourself for years. Now ask better questions. What did this experience teach me about character? What warning did I ignore? What strength did I discover? What support did I need? What pattern must end with me? What truth became clearer? These questions do not change the past. They change the position from which you face the future. A wall keeps you trapped on one side of the story. A staircase gives you movement. You may climb slowly. Some steps will require repeated practice. Some memories will need to be revisited with professional support. Some losses will always remain tender. Healing is not proving that nothing affects you. It is learning that pain can touch you without becoming your ruler. My beloved child, I am not rebuilding you into someone who never feels. I am forming someone who can feel deeply without surrendering identity, wisdom, or direction. The rejection did not erase your capacity to love. The failure did not erase your ability to learn. The loss did not erase your purpose. The delay did not erase my presence. What once looked like a wall can become evidence that you kept rising. You will not need to call a wound a blessing. You will need to let truth reclaim the material shame misused. What accused you can become instruction. What once blocked your view can become the height from which you see farther. And when you reach a higher place, you may finally see that my guidance was not absent. It was unfolding in stages often beyond what you could understand at the time. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will show you how I reveal a plan gradually, just as Joseph received a dream long before he understood the road that would carry him toward it. My beloved child, I told you that I reveal a plan gradually, just as Joseph received a dream before he understood the road that would carry him toward it. He saw the destination before he understood the distance. He received a glimpse before gaining the strength and character to carry it. This is how I often work with you. I give enough light to awaken your attention. Then I allow time to reveal what the light means. You have sometimes called that delay. I have often called it preparation. My beloved child Joseph did not receive a dream and walk directly into fulfillment. Between the promise and the position came betrayal, forced labor, false accusation, confinement waiting, and responsibility in places he never would have chosen. None of those places looked like the dream. Yet each place taught him something the dream alone could not teach. The household taught him stewardship. The accusation taught him what it meant to remain truthful when truth was not immediately rewarded. The prison taught him patience, observation, and how to serve while his own request remained unanswered. My beloved child, the plan was not absent during the years. It was arriving in pieces. One piece was the dream. Another was the discipline. Another was the wound. Another was the opportunity to forgive. Another was the ability to manage resources when pressure was high. Joseph could not see the whole design while standing inside one section. You have had the same difficulty. You looked at one closed door and assumed the plan had ended. You looked at one delayed answer and decided you had misunderstood the calling. You looked at one painful relationship and believed you had lost your chance. My beloved child, one chapter cannot explain the whole book. There are things you understood only after time placed them beside something else. A rejection that once felt senseless later protected you from a deeper loss. A season of small responsibility later prepared you for work that required consistency. A conversation that seemed ordinary became the beginning of a change you could not yet name. This is progressive revelation. I do not always place the entire road before you because the entire road may overwhelm you, tempt your pride, or invite you to skip the formation you still need. You want to know the outcome. I am also concerned with who you become while walking toward it. My beloved child, revelation comes in stages because capacity grows in stages. A child can receive a promise, but an adult must learn to carry responsibility. A dream can awaken hope, but discipline teaches hope how to remain steady. An opportunity can open a door, but character determines what happens after you enter. This is why some answers seem incomplete. You may receive a strong desire to help people, but not yet know the form it should take. You may sense that your work must change, but not yet know which direction is wise. You may recognize that a relationship needs truth, but not yet know whether the result will be repair or release. My beloved child, an incomplete answer is not always a withheld answer. Sometimes it is the first layer of one. Your responsibility is to honor the layer you have received. Do not invent details I have not given. Do not force a timeline because waiting makes you uncomfortable. Do not use one impression to justify a reckless decision. Work with what is clear. If the clear step is learning, learn. If it is apologizing, apologize. If it is preparing, prepare. If it is resting, rest. If it is asking for help, ask. Small obedience keeps you aligned while the larger picture develops. Joseph interpreted dreams before he understood his own. He used his gift in confinement before that gift opened the next door. My beloved child, he did not wait for the palace before becoming faithful with what was in his hands. You have sometimes postponed your calling because the setting looked too small. You thought meaningful work would begin when the right audience arrived. You thought generosity would begin when your finances felt abundant. You thought leadership would begin when someone gave you a title. But the plan is often revealed through ordinary faithfulness. How you handle a small promise matters. How you treat someone who cannot advance you matters. How you respond when no one is watching matters. These hidden choices are part of the revelation. My beloved child, you may also notice that I repeat a theme before I reveal its purpose. The same truth appears through scripture, conversation, experience, and quiet conviction. Repetition gives you time to test what remains steady, but do not become obsessed with signs. Not every repeated number, phrase, dream, or coincidence is a command. A plan from me will agree with truth, wisdom, responsibility, and love. It can be examined without collapsing. It will not require you to abandon sound judgment. Joseph had a dream, but he also had years of evidence that his gifts, discipline, and ability to serve were real. My beloved child, wait for patterns that include character, opportunity, confirmation, and responsible action. There will also be stages when what you receive is correction rather than direction. You ask where to go, and I show you what must change within you. You ask when the door will open, and I show you a habit that would damage what is behind it. You ask for greater influence, and I show you where pride still needs healing. Correction is not rejection, it is part of preparation. My beloved child, do not despise the stage where the plan seems hidden beneath ordinary work. Roots do not feel like fruit, but fruit cannot remain without roots. Use the quiet season, strengthen the skill, repair the pattern, learn patience without becoming passive. Let your private choices agree with the future you keep praying to receive. And when a new stage opens, do not expect it to resemble the dream exactly. Joseph did not become powerful so he could prove his brothers wrong. He was positioned to preserve lives, including the lives of those who had wounded him. Fulfillment often carries a purpose larger than personal vindication. My beloved child, the plan is not only about what you receive, it is about what can move through a healed, disciplined, and compassionate life. You are beginning to see the sequence now. The dream awakened you, the delay trained you, the pain revealed what needed healing, the small responsibilities built capacity, the closed doors redirected you, the repeated truths clarified your values. Nothing requires you to call every hardship good, but you can recognize that I remained present, working with what life placed in your hands and leading you toward wisdom. Still, there is one distinction you must learn before you move forward. Not every long season is preparation. Some seasons are merely repetition because fear has kept you from responding. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will show you why suffering was never the assignment and how to tell the difference between growth that is forming you and stagnation that is only keeping you trapped. My beloved child, I told you that not every long season is preparation. Some seasons continue because fear has kept you from responding, because old patterns have become familiar, or because pain has been mistaken for proof of faithfulness. Suffering was never the assignment. Growth was, truth was, freedom was, love was. My beloved child, I can use suffering, but I do not worship it. I can bring wisdom from loss, courage from disappointment, and compassion from wounds. Yet the wound itself is not holy simply because it hurt. Pain can become a teacher, but it should never become your identity. You have sometimes believed that enduring more meant becoming more faithful. You stayed in places that kept breaking you. You excused repeated disrespect. You ignored what your body was saying. You called exhaustion obedience. You called silence peace. You called fear patience. My beloved child, endurance without direction can become stagnation. Growth has movement, even when the movement is slow. It produces new understanding, healthier choices, stronger boundaries, deeper humility, and greater responsibility. Stagnation repeats the same cycle, while giving the cycle a spiritual name. Growth may still hurt, but it teaches, it changes something, it leads somewhere. Stagnation drains you without forming anything new. You wake with the same confusion. You repeat the same conversation. You return to the same harmful pattern. You apologize for the same boundary. You promise change, then retreat when discomfort appears. My beloved child, repetition is not always perseverance. Sometimes repetition is avoidance wearing the clothes of patience. Remember the Israelites who came near the land they had been promised, then allowed fear to decide for them. The wilderness became longer not because wandering was the assignment, but because trust and courage had not yet become action. I did not bring them out so they could spend their lives circling the same mountain. And I did not bring you this far so you could make a home inside the pattern that keeps you small. My beloved child, ask yourself honest questions. What has this season taught me that I have not practiced? What truth have I recognized but refused to act on? What boundary do I keep postponing? What conversation have I avoided because I fear the outcome? What help have I rejected because needing support feels like failure? These questions are not accusations. They are doors. You may discover that one part of your suffering continues because you are waiting for someone else to change before you allow yourself to move. You are waiting for an apology, an explanation, a return, or a sign of regret. My beloved child, another person's choice may affect your life, but it does not have to hold your future hostage. You can grieve without waiting forever. You can forgive without restoring unsafe access. You can release bitterness without pretending trust has been rebuilt. You can move forward even when the person who hurt you never understands what they did. Freedom does not always require their participation. There are also seasons when stagnation comes from fear of beginning again. The old situation hurts, but at least it is known. A new path carries uncertainty, and uncertainty can feel more dangerous than familiar pain. My beloved child, familiar does not mean safe. Predictable does not mean healthy. A cage can become familiar enough that the open door feels threatening. Do not shame yourself for that fear. The body and mind often prefer what they know, even when what they know is painful. But compassion must lead you toward freedom, not become an excuse to remain trapped. Take one step. Make one appointment. Tell one trusted person the truth. Gather one piece of information. Change one repeated habit. My beloved child, growth does not demand a dramatic escape from every problem. It asks for an honest response to what has become clear. Sometimes the next step is leaving. Sometimes it is staying and doing the work. Sometimes it is seeking counseling. Sometimes it is medical care. Sometimes it is learning a skill, changing a budget, ending a secret, or taking responsibility for harm you caused. Wisdom does not give the same instruction in every situation. This is why you must not compare your process with someone else's. One person is called to remain and rebuild. Another is called to step away because the place is unsafe. One person needs patience. Another has used patience to delay a necessary decision. My beloved child, look at the fruit. Does the season produce greater honesty? Are you becoming more responsible? Are boundaries becoming clearer? Is compassion growing without self-abandonment? Are you learning something new and practicing it? If nothing changes except your ability to tolerate more pain, that is not the fruit I desire. Remember Elijah beneath the tree, exhausted and asking to give up. I did not lecture him about suffering. I gave him rest, food, and time. Then I gave him direction. Care came before the next assignment. My beloved child, Sometimes what you call stagnation is a body and soul that have never been allowed to recover. Rest can be movement when exhaustion has ruled you. Treatment can be movement. Grief can be movement. Silence can be movement when it creates space for truth. But rest becomes avoidance when it has no connection to healing, responsibility, or a next step. You need both mercy and direction. Mercy says you are not weak for being tired. Direction says you cannot build your future around remaining tired forever. Mercy says healing takes time. Direction says time must be used honestly. Mercy says setbacks happen. Direction says a setback is not permission to surrender the whole path. My beloved child, I am not rushing you. I am calling you out of circles. You may need to walk slowly, but let the path move forward. You may need support, but let support help you become stronger, not more dependent. You may need to revisit old pain, but let the revisiting produce understanding, boundaries, and freedom. Suffering was never the assignment. The assignment is what can grow through a life that refuses to let suffering become its master. Your pain may deepen compassion. Your recovery may teach wisdom. Your boundaries may protect others from repeating the same pattern. Your honesty may open a door for someone who thought they were alone. This is how pain is redeemed without being glorified. My beloved child, you are allowed to want peace. You are allowed to seek safety. You are allowed to choose a different rhythm. You are allowed to stop calling chaos a test you must keep passing. Growth may challenge you, but it will not require you to disappear. The movement may be quiet at first, but quiet movement is evidence that life within you is becoming free. And now, as you release stagnation, several movements that once seemed separate will begin to meet. The lessons, the support, the opportunities, and the clarity have been traveling toward the same place. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will show you how 4 rivers are converging at the same appointed moment, and why what looked scattered may soon reveal one clear direction. My beloved child, I told you that the lessons, the support, the opportunities, and the clarity have been traveling toward the same place. What once looked scattered is beginning to reveal a pattern. 4 rivers are converging at the same appointed moment. The first river is preparation. You have been learning through seasons that did not seem connected. One season taught patience. Another exposed a boundary you needed. Another revealed how fear shaped your decisions. Another showed you that strength without rest eventually becomes exhaustion. My beloved child, preparation rarely announces itself while it is happening. It often feels slow or frustrating. You practice skills before knowing where needed. You learn restraint before understanding what responsibility will require it. You heal one wound without realizing how that healing will protect a relationship. Preparation is the river that forms in hidden places. It begins as rain on ground. You may not see the source, but the water gathers. The second river is provision. Provision is not only money. It can be time, access, information, friendship, healthcare, wisdom, transportation, courage, or a person who knows what you do not know. It can be a closed expense, a delayed decision, or the discovery that you need less than you thought. My beloved child, you have sometimes looked for provision in one form and missed it arriving in another. You asked for a large answer, and I gave you a conversation. You asked for relief, and I gave you a plan. You asked for someone to rescue you, and I gave you the courage to ask trustworthy people for help. You asked for a door, and I first gave you the strength to leave the hallway where you had been waiting. Provision often begins before it looks abundant. Remember the Israelites crossing the wilderness. Manna did not arrive as a warehouse for the next decade. It came with enough for the day. They had to gather what was present, instead of demanding that tomorrow be visible before they trusted today. My beloved child, daily provision teaches attention. It helps you recognize what is available now. The third river is revelation. Revelation is the ability to understand what your season has been saying. A truth that once felt vague becomes specific. A repeated pattern becomes visible. A decision you avoided begins to show its real cost. A desire that kept returning finally reveals the responsibility attached to it. Revelation is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is the sentence that remains after a conversation. Sometimes it is the moment you realize you have been asking the wrong question. Sometimes it is the knowledge that an old way of living can no longer continue. My beloved child, revelation does not remove the need for wisdom. It must be tested through truth, character, scripture, responsible, counsel, and time. What comes from me will not require deception, harm, pride, or abandonment of care. Revelation becomes trustworthy when it leads you toward honesty. The fourth river is restoration. This river has been flowing through the places where your strength returned. It appeared when you rested without calling yourself lazy. It appeared when you told the truth without attacking. It appeared when you accepted help, made an appointment, apologized, or protected a boundary. My beloved child, restoration is not the erasing of your past. It is the return of your ability to live without being ruled by it. You remember, but you are no longer trapped. You feel, but you are no longer controlled by every feeling. You carry wisdom without carrying constant suspicion. You can look toward the future without demanding that it repay you for every painful year. These four rivers have not been flowing at the same speed. Preparation may have begun years ago. Provision may have appeared only recently. Revelation may still be unfolding. Restoration may feel strong one day and fragile the next. Yet rivers do not need identical beginnings to meet in the same valley. My beloved child, this is what convergence means. It is the moment when separate movements become useful together. A skill meets an opportunity. A healed boundary meets a healthier relationship. A new piece of information meets the courage to act. A season of rest meets a responsibility you are finally ready to carry. Convergence does not guarantee that every desire will appear exactly as you imagined. It does not mean problems disappear in one day. It means several conditions may now be present that were not present before. You may be more ready. The situation may be clearer. The support may be stronger. The timing may be wiser. This is why attention matters. A person can stand beside converging rivers and still focus only on the mud beneath their feet. Fear can keep you studying the danger so closely that you miss the path forming through it. My beloved child, lift your eyes without denying reality. Ask what has changed. Ask what is now possible that was impossible before. Ask which lesson has finally found a place to be used. Ask which relationship, resource, or opportunity deserves attention. Remember how Ruth arrived in Bethlehem with grief, uncertainty, and almost nothing she could call secure. She did not know the whole plan. She entered a field, worked faithfully, received protection, and responded wisely to each opening. Several movements were converging around her. Her loyalty, her willingness to work, Naomi's guidance, Boaz's character, the timing of the harvest. My beloved child, no single part explained the whole outcome. The meaning appeared as the parts met. Your life may be entering a similar kind of meeting place. What you learned in loss may now help you recognize healthy love. What you learned in scarcity may help you steward provision. What you learned in silence may help you hear truth without panic. What you learn through waiting may help you move without rushing. Do not try to force the rivers together. You cannot manufacture appointed timing through anxiety. You can prepare the banks. You can remove what blocks the channel. You can stand awake at the place where the waters meet. This requires humility. You may need to admit that the opportunity looks different from what you expected. You may need to release the person you imagined would carry it. You may need to accept that the first form of provision is responsibility rather than comfort. You may need to move before confidence feels complete. My beloved child, convergence asks for participation, not control. Your task is not to command the water. Your task is to recognize the direction of the flow and respond with wisdom. This may mean one conversation, one application, one boundary, one act of forgiveness, one practical plan, one decision to wait, one decision to begin. The appointed moment becomes meaningful through faithful response. And before you respond, you need a simple way to clear the channel so preparation, provision, revelation, and restoration can be received without confusion. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will lead you through 3 gates: subtraction, silence, and declaration, so you can meet what is converging with a quieter mind, an honest heart, and a life ready to act. My beloved child, I told you that preparation, provision, revelation, and restoration are beginning to meet. Now you need a way to receive what is converging without allowing noise, fear, or old habits to scatter your attention again. There are 3 gates before you. The first gate is subtraction. The second is silence. The third is declaration. These gates are not magic. They do not control me. They create room for honesty, wisdom, and faithful response. My beloved child, subtraction comes first because your life cannot receive clearly while every space is already occupied. You have carried more information, more opinions, more conversations, and more emotional weight than your heart was designed to process at once. Look carefully at what enters your mind each day. The messages before breakfast, the news that keeps you tense, the endless scrolling that fills every quiet minute, the conversations that leave you confused, guilty, or drained, the habit of checking whether everyone approves of you. Subtraction asks a simple question: what can be removed so that what matters can be heard? My beloved child, you do not need to abandon your responsibilities. You need to stop treating every input as equally important. Some things are urgent, others merely know how to make noise. For the next 3 days, choose 3 sources of distraction and reduce them. Turn off notifications that do not serve a real need. Step back from arguments that repeat without producing understanding. Limit the voices that speak constantly but know nothing about your calling, your responsibilities, or your healing. Clear one physical space as well: a desk, a chair, a corner of a room. Let the outside environment remind your inner life that not everything must remain crowded. Remember Gideon preparing for battle. The number of people around him was reduced not because people had no value, but because dependence needed to become clearer. What remained had purpose. My beloved child, subtraction is not punishment. It is protection. You are not losing what matters. You are removing what keeps you from recognizing it. The second gate is silence. Silence may feel uncomfortable because noise has helped you avoid what waits beneath it. When the room becomes quiet, unfinished, grief may rise, anger may speak, fatigue may finally admit how deep it has become. Do not run immediately. Sit gently. Breathe slowly. Let the moment tell the truth. My beloved child, silence is not the absence of my presence. It is often the place where you begin noticing that I was present before you arrived. You do not need to force a message. You do not need to search for signs. You do not need to empty your mind perfectly. Simply become available. For a few minutes in the morning, and again before sleep, put the phone away. Let your hands rest. Notice your breathing. Bring me one honest question, then stop filling the space with explanations. You may say, "Father, what am I carrying that is not mine?" You may say, "What truth have I been avoiding?" You may say, "What is the next responsible step?" Then wait without demanding that an answer arrive immediately. My beloved child, silence may give you clarity, but it may also reveal the need for practical help. You may realize you need rest, counseling, medical care, financial advice, or a truthful conversation. Do not reject a practical answer because you expected something dramatic. Elijah heard, "My direction after the wind, the earthquake, and the fire had passed." The quiet voice did not flatter him. It gave him a next step. This is what silence can do. It separates the loud from the true. It helps you notice what remains after emotion settles. It teaches your heart that stillness is not danger. The third gate is declaration. Declaration is not pretending that everything is already solved. It is not using words to force an outcome. It is choosing language that agrees with truth instead of repeating the fear that has been shaping your decisions. My beloved child, you have declared many things without realizing it. You said, "I always ruin good opportunities." You said, "No one stays." You said, "I cannot trust myself." You said, "Nothing will ever change." These sentences became instructions your attention followed. Now speak differently. Say, "I can pause before I react." Say, "I can ask for help without shame." Say, "I can learn from the past without living inside it." Say, "I will take the next honest step." Say, "I am willing to receive truth, even when it changes my plan." My beloved child, speak these words slowly. Do not shout. Do not perform. Let each sentence become a choice. A declaration becomes meaningful when your actions agree with it. If you declare peace, protect time for rest. If you declare honesty, have the conversation. If you declare wisdom, gather the facts. If you declare trust, release what you cannot control. Words open the door, but conduct walks through it. Remember Joshua speaking to the people before they crossed into a new season. His words called them toward courage, but courage still required movement, discipline, and obedience. My beloved child, your declaration should not make you feel superior. It should make you responsible. You may use a simple statement during these 3 days. I release unnecessary noise. I welcome honest silence. I will respond to truth with wisdom and courage. say it in the morning. Return to it when distraction rises. Repeat it before sleep, not as a spell, but as a reminder of the life you are choosing. As you practice this rhythm, notice what changes in moments. You may answer more slowly, listen more fully, or recognize that one demand does not deserve your immediate energy. You may discover that peace is not a feeling you wait for, but a condition you protect through choices. You may also notice resistance. Old habits will tell you that silence is unproductive, subtraction is selfish, and honest words are dangerous. Do not obey those voices automatically. Thank them for trying to protect you, then choose the wiser path. Each decision strengthens your ability to remain present when opportunities and responsibilities arrive. These three gates work together. Subtraction creates space. Silence reveals what fills the space. Declaration gives language to the response. Without subtraction, silence is crowded. Without silence, declaration can become empty enthusiasm. Without declaration, clarity may remain only a private feeling. My beloved child, pass through each gate slowly. There is no prize for rushing. If one day reveals how exhausted you are, let rest become part of the process. If silence reveals grief, give it care. If your declaration exposes a needed boundary, prepare to speak it wisely. You are not being trained to control the appointed moment. You are becoming ready to meet it, and readiness will require one final release. You must loosen the need to manage how every answer arrives, how every person responds, and how every relationship unfolds. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will show you how releasing control can restore connection, protect your peace, and allow the fuller version of you to return without abandoning wisdom, responsibility, or healthy boundaries. My beloved child, I told you that releasing control can restore connection, protect your peace, and allow the fuller version of you to return. Now I want you to see why control became so strong in the first place. You did not wake up one morning and decide to manage everything. Control grew where trust had been wounded. It grew when people changed without warning. It grew when promises were broken. It grew when your needs were ignored until you learned to handle them alone. My beloved child, control was often your attempt to create safety before disappointment could reach you again. You planned every conversation. You imagined every possible reaction. You rehearsed what you would say if someone misunderstood you. You tried to read every silence before silence could frighten you. This helped you survive certain seasons, but survival habits can become walls when danger has passed. Control makes relationships feel safer from a distance, yet weaker up close. You may listen while preparing your defense. You may offer help before another person asks, because being useful feels safer than being known. You may hide your needs, then feel hurt when people fail to notice them. My beloved child, connection cannot grow where everyone must follow a script you wrote in fear. The people who love you are not always going to respond perfectly. They may need time. They may misunderstand. They may have limits. They may disappoint you without intending to harm you. Releasing control does not mean accepting disrespect. It means allowing reality to reveal itself without forcing every person into the role you need them to play. You can ask clearly. You can listen carefully. You can set boundaries. You can observe patterns. Then you can decide from truth instead of fear. My beloved child, healthy relationships require room for two whole people. Not one person managing and another person performing. Not one person rescuing and another remaining helpless. Not one person speaking while the other disappears. Love needs honesty, freedom, responsibility, and respect. Remember how Jesus asked the man near the pool whether he wanted to become well. The question may seem strange because the need looked obvious, yet the question honored the man as a participant. Help was offered, but his voice and response still mattered. My beloved child, this is the kind of partnership I am teaching you. Do not take responsibility away from others in the name of love. Do not solve every consequence before they can learn. Helping becomes control when it refuses to let another person grow. You can stand beside someone without becoming their entire support system. You can care deeply without becoming responsible for every emotion they feel. You can offer wisdom without demanding that they follow it. This protects both love and dignity. You can love without controlling what love becomes. My beloved child, releasing control also means letting people know the real you, not the version who is always calm, not the version who always has an answer, not the version who never needs reassurance. The fuller version of you includes strength and tenderness, confidence and uncertainty, generosity and limits, faith and honest questions. You have hidden parts of yourself because you feared they would become burdens, but intimacy cannot develop around a performance. People can only know the person you allow them to meet. Begin with someone trustworthy. Say what you actually feel without exaggerating or accusing. Say what you need without demanding that one person meet every need. Say where you are uncertain. Say when you need time. My beloved child, vulnerability is not giving everyone access to everything. It is sharing truth at a level that matches the safety, character, and history of the relationship. Some people have earned deeper access. Others have not. Wisdom does not open every door equally. You can be honest without becoming exposed. You can forgive without restoring the same closeness. You can love someone and still recognize that distance is necessary. Releasing control does not remove boundaries. It makes boundaries clearer because they are no longer being used to punish, test, or manipulate. A healthy boundary says, "This is what I can offer. This is what I cannot accept. This is what I will do if the pattern continues." Then it follows through without cruelty. My beloved child, you have sometimes used silence to regain control. You withdrew, hoping the other person would notice, pursue, apologize, or become afraid of losing you. There are times when space is wise, but silence used as punishment creates more confusion than healing. If it is safe, explain the purpose of the distance. Say, "I need time to become calm." Say, "I am willing to continue," when we can speak respectfully. Say, "This pattern is harming me, and I cannot continue it." Truth gives space a direction. Control uses space to create anxiety. You are learning the difference. My beloved child, relationships may not all be restored in the form you desire. Some can heal through honest conversation. Some may become healthier with new boundaries. Some may need to end. Some may remain limited because trust cannot be rebuilt by one person alone. Do not call every ending failure. Sometimes restoration means restoring your ability to live truthfully after the relationship changes. Remember Paul and Barnabas. They shared meaningful work, yet reached a disagreement that changed how they continued. Their separation did not erase the good that had already happened, and it did not stop purpose from moving forward through different paths. My beloved child, peace does not always look like reunion. Sometimes peace is releasing the demand that the story end the way you imagined. This release creates room for the fuller version of you to return. The version who can listen without disappearing. The version who can speak without attacking. The version who can love without rescuing. The version who can receive love without testing it. The version who can remain present when outcomes are uncertain. You may feel grief as control loosens. Control gave you the illusion that enough planning could prevent pain. Releasing it means admitting that you cannot guarantee how people choose, how long opportunities remain, or how every chapter ends. My beloved child, uncertainty is not abandonment. You are not alone because you cannot control the future. You are free to meet the future with truth, support, prayer, wisdom, and courage. Take one breath before the next difficult conversation. Ask one question instead of making one assumption. Make one clear request. Honor one boundary. Release one outcome that was never yours to command. These are small acts, but they return your life to you. The fuller version of you does not need to dominate the room. It needs to be present in it. And as that presence returns, you will be ready for the final movement of this journey. Stay close, my beloved child. In the next part, I will show you how to receive the restoration walk into clarity and rise into your assignment without returning to control, self-abandonment, or the noise that once buried your truest self. My beloved child, I told you that the fuller version of you is ready to return. Receive the restoration. Walk into clarity. Rise into your assignment without returning to control, self-abandonment, or the noise that once buried your truest self. Do not rush past the word receive. You have spent years trying to earn what can only be welcomed. You tried to prove that you were strong enough, disciplined enough, faithful enough, and useful enough. My beloved child, restoration is not a reward for becoming perfect. It is the work of truth entering places fear controlled. It is rest returning to a body that lived on alert. It is honesty returning to relationships shaped by performance. It is hope returning to a future you stopped trusting. Receive it slowly. Let peace feel unfamiliar without rejecting it. Let support reach you without turning it into debt. Let a quiet morning remain quiet. Let one good moment be good without predicting how it will end. My beloved child, restoration may not erase every consequence. Some decisions will require repair. Some parts of healing may need counseling, medical care, community patience, or time. But what remains difficult no longer has to define everything. You can carry a scar without reopening the wound each day. You can remember the storm without living as though the wind is still inside the room. You can honor what happened without giving the past authority over every future choice. This is what it means to walk into clarity. Clarity is not knowing every answer. It is recognizing what is true enough for the next step. You know which habits keep scattering your attention. You know which conversations need honesty. You know where fear has been pretending to be wisdom. You know what your body has been asking you to notice. You know which burden was never yours to carry. My beloved child, do not ask for another sign when truth has already become clear. If an apology is needed, prepare it. If a boundary is needed, speak it. If support is needed, receive it. If rest is needed, protect it. If action is needed, begin with what is responsible and available. The fog lifts through practiced truth. A clear life is built through clear choices. Remember Joshua standing beside the Jordan. The river did not disappear before the people approached it. The priests carried the ark toward the water, and the way opened as they moved in obedience. My beloved child, there are moments when clarity grows after the first faithful step. You may not feel ready. Readiness is not the absence of trembling. It is the willingness to move without betraying truth. You are not being asked to leap into fantasy. You are being invited to participate in what preparation, provision, revelation, and restoration have made possible. Preparation has given you wisdom. Provision has given you enough for the next step. Revelation has shown you what matters. Restoration has returned strength to places that were tired. Now your assignment can be received without becoming another burden. My beloved child, your assignment is not a performance designed to make people admire you. It is not proof that you are more chosen than anyone else. It is not permission to ignore ordinary responsibilities while chasing a dramatic identity. Your assignment is the faithful use of what has been placed in your hands. It may look like creating, teaching, building, protecting, serving, leading, listening, repairing what your family learned to avoid, bringing honesty into a place shaped by silence, offering compassion without abandoning boundaries. The form may change across seasons, but the foundation remains the same. Love me, tell the truth. Honor people. Use wisdom. Carry your responsibility. Release what belongs to others. My beloved child, start where you are. Do not wait for a larger audience before speaking with integrity. Do not wait for abundance before becoming a careful steward. Do not wait for a title before practicing leadership. Do not wait until every wound is gone before becoming a source of kindness. Your healing does not need to be complete before your life becomes useful. It only needs to remain honest. Still, do not serve from the old wound that believes usefulness earns love. Serve from fullness, not fear. Help because compassion moves you, not because you are terrified of disappointing people. Give within your capacity. Rest before resentment grows. Say no when yes would require self-betrayal. Let others carry their part. My beloved child, the assignment I give will not require you to disappear. It will make the truest parts of you more present. Your sensitivity will become compassion guided by wisdom. Your imagination will become vision joined to practical action. Your loneliness will teach you how to notice the unseen. Your delayed seasons will teach you patience without passivity. Your boundaries will make your love safer. This is how what once felt like weakness becomes mature strength. The receiver was never destroyed. It became crowded by noise. The signal was never absent. It was difficult to recognize beneath fear. The child within you was never gone. That open heart was buried beneath survival. The wall was never the end. Its stones became steps. The wilderness was never your permanent address. It taught you what could not travel into the next season. My beloved child, look at the road behind you without contempt. You did what you knew how to do. You survived with the tools available. Now you know more. You can choose differently. Pass through the 3 gates again whenever the fog returns. Subtract what is unnecessary. Enter honest silence. Declare what is true, then act. This rhythm will keep you grounded when life becomes loud again, and life will become loud again. There will be deadlines, conflict, uncertainty, temptation, and tired days. Restoration does not create a life without pressure. It creates a person who knows how to return to truth before pressure becomes identity. My beloved child, rise now, not with pride, not with panic, not with the need to prove that this message changed you. Rise with a quieter heart, rise with open hands, rise willing to learn, rise prepared to repair what needs repair. Rise ready to walk slowly enough that your soul can remain present. The appointed moment is not a magical escape from life. It is the moment you stop abandoning yourself within it. Receive what has been restored. Protect the clarity that has returned. Carry the assignment with humility. And when another person is trapped inside the fog you once knew, do not stand above them. Sit beside them. Listen. Tell the truth gently. Point toward wise help. Remind them that noise is not their identity, and exhaustion is not their destiny. My beloved child, this journey began with something that seemed stolen. It ends with the discovery that what mattered most was still alive beneath the noise. Your peace can return. Your attention can become whole. Your life can move with purpose. Go forward now. I will remain with you in every honest decision, every healthy boundary, every act of courage, every season of rest, and every faithful step into the assignment waiting before you.